So I think it's working. Just let me know, Semir, if you hear me well. I hope so. Yes, good. So, dear listeners, dear watchers, dear followers, it's very nice to see you again. This is a great time because here with me is today someone very, very interesting. And we had interviews some time ago. You liked it so much. There was a huge discussion, under the video, below the video. And I heard from you that some of you visited pyramids in Bosnia Herzegovina. And Semir wrote to me as well on WhatsApp that, hey, Thomas, people coming here and they're very interested, and it's very nice that we can talk about it. So today we are going to continue in our interview. Let me say some things before we start. Now I'm in Sri Lanka in hotel, so sometimes maybe you will hear some people talking here. I'm sorry for that, but here is the best internet. So guys, thank you for your respect and understanding. Semir is in Bosnia and Herzegovina, so I hope the internet will work perfectly for you. You will see all the time subtitles, so you can read it if you don't understand English well. I asked you about the question, so you chose what is interesting for you, and I'm going to translate it into the English for Semir here. So we are going to talk about the topics you feel and you want to have answers. And so thank you very much for sharing. Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you very much for your subscribe if you are here for the first time. And below the video in a description, you can find the link if you are interested and you would like to see and you would like to visit pyramids in Bosnia Herzegovina. You can find it there. So click on it and just travel. Now it's a beautiful time for traveling in Europe, so I think that you can use this opportunity for you. I will start with you, Semir, but let me tell very briefly if there are new people, they don't know you. So who is Semir Osmanagic? I hope I pronounce it well. Is an archaeologist. You're an archaeologist, and you found some years ago something amazing in Bosnia Herzegovina. Pyramids. You call it pyramids. And that's the thing, because there are some people who say no is a bullshit, and some people, they say yeah, it can be. But why this discovery is so huge is the fact that if it's accepted like the pyramids, it will change the history, because they are the biggest in the world on Earth. So there is a huge discussion right now about is it true, is it not true? I know I watched some interviews with you and with some archaeologists as well, and it's very interesting. And there are more things, not only this. People go there to heal themselves because it has some benefits that you will tell us about it. And that's why you can listen us. You can discuss. You don't have to agree with everything. Just, okay, write your opinion, what you think, guys. And I would like you to listen to Semir, what he thinks. Okay? So thank you very much that you are with us. Semir, tell us, how are you? How is your life? And did something change in time, in periods when we haven't been in contact with each other? So what is new in your life?
Hello, Tomáš. I thank you very much for your interest. And yes, you are right. There are many people coming from Czech and Slovakia who listened to our interview a few months back. They would approach me in Visoko, in central Bosnia, telling me, hey, you listened to the interview, so we came here. And majority of them were very happy. They were very impressed before going home. You asked me actually 3-4 questions, so let's go from the beginning. Who's Dr. Semir Osmanagić? Every one of us has 3 entities, Tomáš. First entity is our physical body which comes with the flesh and the blood and the bones. It is accompanied by our energetical body, by our intellectual body, by our emotional body. So we live our one life experience in this particular body. And everyone has the mission in the life. In my life, I used to have two careers. One is research, scientific career. My PhD is about the Mayan civilization, and I have been researching megalithic and pyramid sites for more than 4 decades. There is not a living soul on this planet who has researched, visited, and investigated more pyramids than myself on all 6 continents. So, a mission to try to get the knowledge, information about the ancient civilizations through the megalithic and pyramid sites. So this is what I do in this life. The second entity of ours is our soul, right here. Our soul is almost forever. It goes through many lifetimes, through many planets, through many star systems, through many galaxies, through many universes. Learning. Our life, our physical body, depends on our 5 physical senses. Our soul, using those physical senses, gaining the experience. And if we go deep within ourselves, let's say through the meditation, you can even get the information from our previous and future lives. And this is what I do sometimes when I visit some other megalithic sites, asking the questions about who, when, how, and why. And my third entity, and your third entity, is our divine body. That's spirit. So our physical body is protection for our soul, and our soul is protection for our spirit. So we have 3 entities. Your question was basically about my first body and my first, body's life experiences. And you asked me, how am I? Tomáš, I'm the happiest man on the planet. I'm the most blessed person on the planet. Decades ago, I discovered what my mission, what the purpose in this life experience was. And that was to try to get this knowledge, this genius information from the ancient builders to present. And along the way, I have been researching pyramids from Central America, the Mayan pyramids, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Belize, concluding that there are more than 100,000 pyramids built by the Mayan civilization. Not 100, not 1,000, more than 100,000. People don't know that. Pyramids on the US soil, Cahokia pyramids, pyramids in Bolivia, pyramids in Peru, more than 300, pyramids in China. I was one of the first 3 foreigners visiting pyramids in China. Then we had pyramids in Cambodia, Kokher pyramid. We have Gunung Padang, 28,500-year-old pyramid in Western Java. Our friend, Dr. Danny Hillman, who discovered them 6 months after I discovered the Bosnian pyramids, back in 2006. I was the happiest man to see such discovery, no jealousy. Why? Because it confirms the age of the Bosnian pyramids, 29,200 years. Pyramids in Australia, unfortunately, Gympie pyramid to the north from the Brisbane was destroyed last year by the Australian government building a highway there. Pyramids in Sudan, 224 Nubian pyramids. In Egypt, 155. They are not tombs for the pharaohs. We spoke about it last time. 104 pyramids on Canary Islands. In Europe, Spain, 3 pyramids. Sicily, 43 pyramids. Sardinia, 1 pyramid. 16 in the Greek islands. So this is what I do. So finding the knowledge about astronomy, sacred geometry, spirituality, energy, very specific frequency that the ancients were obtaining by building pyramid complexes. So that's my mission. And once I realized that I'm on the right track, I continued. When I was ready to discover the Bosnian pyramids back in April of 2005, after I visited pyramids around the planet, I came to my own backyard in Visoko, which I never visited before. I used to live in Sarajevo. Visoko is 30 kilometers to the northwest. Never had reasons to go there. I went there. I saw this. Everybody called it hill. And this is what kind of is confusing for the people. They expect to see Egyptian pyramids. Well, Egypt and the pyramids there are in different climate. It's a desert. sunny, no rain, no greenery. You can see those blocks. In Peru, you can see the pyramids. They're in deserts. But in Mexico, Guatemala, China, Indonesia, you cannot. Because after thousands of years, they've been covered by soil, vegetation, due to the wind and the rain. Well, but what you look at is the shape. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is shaped as the four-sided pyramid because it does have four sides. It has four triangular faces. It has four corners, same slope from bottom to the top. So, looking from the outside, you can see the geometrical shape of the regular pyramid. Back in 2005, Tomáš, I took a compass, which showed me that those sides perfectly match cardinal points, east, west, north, and south. Mother Nature does not make hills with four triangular faces and perfect orientation. And that was the very beginning. It got my interest. I came back, I got permission from the Ministry of Culture, we started digging, and for the last 18 years, it has become the most active archaeological site in the world. Archaeology is usually 10-15 diggers, one archaeologist, 15 days. Not in our case. In our case, we have hundreds of volunteers, our employees, dozens of experts from different fields, and we work all 12 months. So these are our conclusions. We have in central Bosnia at least 6 pyramids, which you name the pyramids of the sun, moon, dragon, earth, love, and the 6th pyramid. We have Tumulus complex. Tumulus is an artificial conical hill, and we have huge network of prehistorical underground tunnels. So far, we have discovered 6 entrances to those tunnels. Tunnel Ravne, where majority of the people come, we have cleared 2.7 kilometers of existing prehistorical tunnels, and then plus Ravne 2, Ravne 3, Ravne 5, Ravne 4, KTK tunnels. So these are underground structures and structures above the ground. But the pyramid complex in Bosnia is much more than that. This is the most open, so now we can see the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. So from here we can see northeast corner. To the right, it's a northern triangular face. To the left, it's eastern. From here we can see 3 corners. Yeah, from here we can see 4 corners. This is the northern side. These forests have been planted since 1960s, 1970s. Before that, only bushes. So, the pyramids are not only about the construction material. And in the case of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, 1 meter below the soil, we've been discovering blocks. Some of them rectangular, some of them square, with 6 sides, 6 times and 6 breaks at 90 degrees. Mother Nature does not do that, especially in several rows, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. It's the work of the intelligent hand. Of course, people, especially those who don't come here in Bosnia, they have been programmed to think pyramids, Egypt, desert, pharaohs, tombs, or pyramids in Mexico, you know, sacrification of the enemies. Hey, forget that. Pyramids, geometry of 4-sided pyramid, perfect orientation, artificial construction material, quartz crystal, which amplifies the energy, underground tunnels, inner passageways, water. These are elements of pyramids. So if we clear the Bosnian pyramid and we simply follow the shape, this is what we would get. So there is no doubt in anyone's mind who has common sense that we do have pyramids. But the problem are the consequences, like you said. If confirmed, we change the history. Well, guess what? We have confirmed through the 6 international scientific conferences that have been held from 2008, 2012, 14, 15, 16, 18, and so on. And we've concluded that those pyramids are, number 1, the biggest on the planet. For comparison, the Great Pyramid of Egypt, or which is wrongly called Cheops or Khufu, is 147 meters. the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, after LIDAR or LIDAR technology, that's the most advanced laser technology, the height is 368 meters. 368. The next one, the artificial material that we found, it's artificially made concrete. Concrete you can make. The quality determination based on hardness. Harder the concrete, more durable, better quality. Our concretes today from 10 to 60 megapascals. 60, the best quality, Germany, US. Concrete at the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun from 74 to 155 megapascals. The best quality ever. Number 3, orientation to the north. The Great Pyramid of Egypt has an error from the perfect cosmic north, 0 degrees, 3 minutes. Kefren, 0 degrees, 3 minutes. Mykrinos, 0 degrees, 18 minutes. Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 12 seconds. So this is the most precise orientation to the north on the planet. Mother Nature does not make something like that. It's perfect engineers of geodesy who knew how to orient it. The next thing, Tomáš, we have discovered a lot of quartz crystal. Why is that important? Quartz crystal, 3 things. Number 1, amplifies the energy. Number 2, store the information. Number 3, transfer the energy from one form, in our case, electromagnetic field, which we measure, to another one, ultrasound, which we measure. If you can measure using scientific instruments, you can scientifically prove. So we measure 28 kilohertz frequency on the Bosnian pyramids and the tunnels, but we also measure 28 kilohertz frequency of the ultrasound in the tunnels on the pyramid. Why is this frequency important? This is the frequency of the levitation. And sure enough, when people go to the tunnels, they feel light. They don't levitate because they are still too heavy, but they feel light. The next element, underground waters and the major rivers. You know how in Egypt there is a river Nile by the pyramids. In Mexico, China, Peru, major rivers. In our case, 2 rivers, River Fornica and River Bosna, which is the largest river in this country of Bosnia. A lot of underground water flows. Water moves, it is kinetic energy. Water moves, it releases negative ions, which are very beneficial for our body. The pyramid amplifies the concentration of negative ions, and what we measure in the underground tunnels using air ion counters, these are scientific instruments, we measure the highest concentration of negative ions in the world, because I take those instruments to Egypt, Sudan, South Africa, Vietnam, America, Germany, China, all other countries. We have the highest concentrations, reaching 225,000 negative ions per cubic centimeter, and on the mountains, just 1,000. So much, much healthier in the tunnels. So you see how many elements are there. Everything can be actually measured. This is very important. We have had teams of engineers and physicists coming to our site. And on the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, teams from Croatia, Serbia, Finland, Italy, and Germany came at different times with their own equipment, oscilloscopes, spectrometers, and the others, measuring existence of energy beam going through the very top, electrical in nature, 28 kilohertz, continuous, because we measure it summer, fall, winter, spring. And that energy beam is getting stronger as it moves away from the pyramid. In science, it is called the scalar waves. So we are the first one on the planet who have concluded that there are scalar waves and they move quicker than the speed of light. Now you see, in the beginning, many historians, archaeologists, geologists, museum curators were against the project because we changed their narrative. We change what they've been taught wrongly. We change what they teach students wrongly. And now we intersect with the physicists. Because physicists, starting with Albert Einstein 100 years ago, they said the biggest speed in the universe is the speed of light. almost 300,000 kilometers per second. Well, scalar waves move much quicker than the speed of light. Therefore, they are ideal media for the communication. You ask me how am I doing? Well, since I go almost every day to the tunnels, and tunnels are so refreshing. It's not only about archaeology and science. It is about the energy. This energy affects all our bodies, our physical body, but also our spiritual body. We can start developing our spiritual senses in the tunnels. It affects our healing activities. So many beautiful things. So yes, we are very, very happy.
You're still passionate about it, Semir. Thank you very much for this introduction. We will talk about it, I think, because we are having some questions from you.
Okay.
And now we are going to this. So, Semir, the first question for you sounds, are there places in the world which are prohibited by governments from entering? Would you like to explore there? So the question is, if you know some more places in the world which are prohibited from different governments and you are now very interested, what is in there?
Unfortunately, there are many confidential archaeological sites around the planet. And I must say it's very unfortunate that only mainstream archaeologists, together with geologists and Egyptologists, historians, that they research major pyramid and megalithic sites. Let's start with Egypt. Below the Giza Plateau, where the most magnificent pyramids are built, the Cheops, the Khafren and Mykerinos, and 7 smaller pyramids, and probably there are more than that. Below, there are at least 4 levels of underground tunnels. Why is it prohibited? Those tunnels were part of the pyramids. They connect all the pyramids, meaning they were built at the same time in one shot. What they are telling us is different pharaohs were building different pyramids at different times. Wrong. The Giza Plateau had master plan. It was built at one time much before than the pharaohs of the 4th dynasty, 4,500 years ago. They were built over 30,000 years back. They were built for sure before the end of the last ice age, which happened 12,000 years back. And those tunnels are one of the biggest proofs of that. How do we know that it was built more than 12,000 years ago? That was the time of the end of the last ice age, when we had huge tsunamis and huge floods. And we have even expression, biblical flood. Well, Giza Plateau is 180 kilometers from the Mediterranean Sea. Until very recently, there were millions and millions of seashells at the Giza Plateau. Why? Because it was flooded 12,000 years back. And when the biggest Giza pyramid, the Cheops, was violently opened 1,200 years back, they discovered at the lower levels of the pyramid seashells and sea salt from Mediterranean Sea, meaning the pyramid was already there during that flood. So if we have access, if public has the access to those tunnels, they would discover very interesting things. One of the entrances to the tunnels is below the left pawn of the Sphinx. In Sphinx, you could enter also through the head. It's been cemented now, and from the sides. The Sphinx has a small temple in the head, has a larger temple devoted to the sun in the body, but below you enter to underground tunnels that leads you to the central part of the plateau, where there are probably traces of the previous civilization. And people are saying the Atlantis library and so on. It's very possible, but since it would have such a major influence to the religious, to the political world and so on, the few Egyptians, few British and few Americans, they don't want to open it for the public. That's the first place. The second place, in China, there are 250 pyramids, 20 big ones in the central province of Shanxi, and the big ones are the oldest, meaning they were built not by the primitive farmers 12,500 years ago, but by more advanced civilization. There are even clay tablets explaining that, but they are now hidden by the Chinese government. But basically, under the biggest pyramids, the question is, what is it there? When I spoke to the Chinese archaeologists from the Archaeological Institute of Xi'an, they told me that every pyramid has underground chambers, but the biggest one they cannot explore because the Central Committee of the Chinese Communist Party forbidden them for another generation, another 30 years. The next site, of course, the largest pyramid site in Mexico is Teotihuacan, 1 hour to the north from the Mexico City. They discovered the tunnels under the Pyramid of the Sun, Moon, and Quetzalcoatl, and the public does not have access there. Even the Mayan pyramid in Palenque is in the Mexican state of Chiapas, they have a huge network of underground tunnels. You know, in my PhD, my doctoral dissertation about the Mayan pyramids, written more than 20 years ago, I said there had to be tunnels under the Mayan pyramids. People are saying, oh, you have no evidence, blah, blah, blah. Now they discovered the tunnels under basically major Mayan pyramids, but they don't let people go inside. So many sites, even the sites with no pyramids, but let's say the site in Transylvania, in today's Romania, people are talking about existence of underground tunnels that lead one tunnel into the direction of the Giza pyramids, another one Baghdad, or former Babylon, and the third one to the Tibet. And according to the Sun, the soldiers from the US and Romania are guarding the terrain, so it cannot be independently verified. But there are beautiful books, at least 3 books that I read, Transylvanian Sunrise, Moonrise, and so on, explaining in details by one of the representative of Romanian intelligence service about the discovery. So there are many sites that are hidden around the planet. And this is the knowledge that belongs to all of us. This is the cultural heritage of the planet. So how come the governments feel that they are the only ones who should know about that? How about the bases under the Antarctica? Of course, we have so much evidence from the 19th century, end of it, from the first half of the 20th century, that, people were going there. They were going to the very South Pole, entering what they call the Hollow Earth and finding the greenery, lush forests and the jungles, and that our planet is the hollow instead of being solid, and there is a central sun within the planet, which basically gives the energy to the inhabitants over there. Is it true or not? I don't know, but yes, there are many places I'd like to go and explore.
Thank you for answering. Next question, I think it's connected with the previous one. The question sounds, there is a whole network of pyramids on the Earth. What do you think of their energy connection? Is it possible that they were connected or not? Does it still work today, by the way? And what purpose can it serve?
The Bosnian Pyramid Project is the only pyramid project in the world who are open for scientists from different fields. It includes experts in energy phenomena. I mentioned physicists, but also electrical engineers, telecommunication engineers, sound engineers, and we have proven that on the top of the Sun Pyramid, energy beam goes towards the sun. In the morning, it's moved to the east, noontime south, afternoon southwest, evening west. What does that mean? Does it mean that the sun and our planet communicates? It is probably so. Does it mean that we can, through our planet and through energy beams, communicate through the sun with other solar systems? It is possible. And then through other galaxies, it is possible. But the communication is never one-sided. The pyramids are transmitters, but they are also antennas. They receive the information, they receive the energy. So two-way energy, meaning we have a base for something that I would call the cosmic internet. But obviously, we were not the builders. Now, the question about other pyramids. Even though there are no official measurements of other pyramids, I can tell you this. You cannot go to the Giza Plateau and climb the Cheops pyramid. You cannot climb the Khafre pyramids because there are guarded, soldiers over there. But what you can do, you can go to some other sites with much less tourists. For example, you go to Dahshur with 3 beautiful pyramids. One is red, bent, and black. Well, red pyramids, especially during the Corona time, with no tourists for 15 days, well, you could actually climb and you could do the measurements. With my friends, scientists from the University of Moscow and their institute over there, we measure at the base and at the top of the pyramid. At the top, the signal was 50 times stronger. So we do have energy beam on the top of the red pyramid. I used a special camera. It's called New Energy Vision Camera, developed by, unfortunately, late Dr. Harry Oldfield from UK. And I made a scanning of the second largest Khafre pyramid, and I could see that energy fields are running vertically above the pyramid. In the neighborhood area, it's always horizontal. The same case like in Bosnian pyramids. So now we know that some of the Egyptian pyramids are energetically active. Some others, like Step Pyramid in Saqqara, it's not. Maybe at one time. Then in Mexico, the Moon Pyramid in Teotihuacan was filmed, and we could clearly see energy beam over there. Then Yucatan, Mayan pyramids in Chichen Itza, energy beam just before the storm. So now we know that there are some other pyramids that are energetically active. So I would conclude the oldest pyramids, China, Peru, Mexico, Cambodia, Bosnia, and some others, at the time when they were built, they were energetically active. So now if we establish the fact that we have energy beams, once you create strong energy fields, there is always the ways, technically, to collect this energy, like we are doing today. We have hydro, power plant, thermal power plant, nuclear power plant. We produce the energy, and then through our distribution, we send the energy commercially, industrially, residentially. It could be the same case in the distant past. If you could harness the energy on different sites around the planet, then you could use that energy in return for whatever you wanted to do. You could, for example, make a protection field around the planet if there was a need to protect from certain enemies or meteors or solar flames. Or you could send this energy as a focused energy and use it against your enemy. Lasers. Lasers can be used in a medicine. And then we can say, oh, this is the positive energy of the laser. But lasers, if you make a laser gun, you can go ahead and kill the enemies. Obviously, it's not very positive, especially for the guy who got killed. So it's negative use of the energy. So I would say that, yes, we did have very advanced civilization in a distant past, before the end of the last ice age, and somebody was harnessing huge quantities of energy. And all our lives, Tomáš, on our planet is the fight for the energy. We could not communicate now without the energy. I could not have the mobile phone without the energy. We could not drive the cars without the energy. We could not have the electricity without, it's always about the energy. Our problem is that we use energy sources like coal, oil, gas, nuclear. They are all dirty sources of energy, limited and very expensive. And based on this price, we have a few thousand people, less than 1%, who got all the money and resources of the world, more than 90%. And we have more than 90% of people, us, me, you, and the others, the listeners, who live from first to first, trying to pay our bills. It's because of energy. Imagine clean energy, unlimited and free. That's the pyramid energy. You have initial investment in pyramids, in structures, and they work for thousands of years, affecting, like the guy asked why they were built, affecting our communication, protection of our health, improvement of the water, molecular structure, improvement of our food, improvement of our immunity, improvement of our bioenergy field, auric field, improvement of our chakras. They come back to the balance, they open up. How do I know about auric field and chakras? We have a machine, and we have measured 5,400 people before entering the tunnels, and after they came back being exposed to pyramid energy, 90% improved auric field chakras, improving our spiritual abilities. So pyramid energy is partial answer even to our society. And much bigger answer probably would be Tesla's energies, free and unlimited.
Wow, it's amazing. So guys, write down what you think about it. What is your opinion? I'm very interested in what you think. And Semir, thank you very much for explaining. So next question for you is this one, written by Roman. Okay, so it is already obvious that the pyramids were not built the way they are taught. Have you ever been in contact with civilizations in the space, in the universe, like, you know what I mean, UFO?
Well, in this state of consciousness, while we are awake, I have not met extraterrestrials. I have read a lot about ETs, especially, you know, books about 1947 and the cosmic accident that happened on the US soil. I have read a lot about the American establishment during 1940s, 1950s, especially during Eisenhower's governments, and later on JFK's, Johnson's, Nixon's, and so on. Of course, some of the American presidents claimed that they saw UFOs, like Jimmy Carter's or Ronald Reagan. And some of those accounts were very serious accounts, coming from people who were in military, people who were in intelligence services, in securities, even scientists connected to those projects. So I can say only that the question of UFO is very, very serious question. You cannot just disregard, or you cannot just blindly accept it. It seems that there have been several extraterrestrial civilizations on our planet in the very long period of time. Of course, time for us and time for them is something different. And it seems that at least two of them are what we can call not so good towards humanity. At least two of them are very supportive, but majority of them are neutral. And it's rather logical. It seems to me that one of the rules in the universe, when you encounter in other beings on some planets, it's not up to you to interfere. On the contrary, the beings, they have to achieve the level of civilization by themselves. In our case, we can see technology that's been advanced, but spiritually, we are not ready for use of this technology. And that's the reason why we have the threats all the time with the nuclear weaponry, chemical, biological. The new one is, of course, artificial intelligence. We can see how we behave towards the planet. We've been conquering, we've been destroying other plants and animals. We've been destroying our mother planet. So obviously we are not ready mentally, to join, if something like that exists, federation of developed beings, at least in our galaxy. Is there a life besides us in the universe? To think that there is no life forms, that we are the only one, and that we are on the top of this life kingdom, that would be so wrong, and that would tell us a lot about our ego and selfishness. Of course, there are many different life forms, and some of them we cannot even fathom, we cannot even think about them. We think that our 5 physical senses can see everything. You know what we can hear? We can hear from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. That's called sound. Everything above 20 kilohertz is called ultrasound. We don't hear it. We don't hear 30 kilohertz, 50 kilohertz. We don't hear megahertz. We don't hear gigahertz. We don't hear anything below 20 hertz. It's called infrasound. These are very, very deep sounds. 10 hertz, 5 hertz, 2 hertz. So we don't hear more than 95% of the sounds in the universe. We don't see more than 99% of what's happening. All we can see through our eyesight are those 6 colors of different frequencies. Red, the lowest frequency, orange, yellow, green, blue, and indigo. Of course, today those colors have been kidnapped by LGBTIQ movement. But this is scientific truth that those 6 colors, this is the frequency that we can see. 99.7% we don't see. How can we can see extraterrestrials when we don't have senses? The same goes for the, what we can smell. At the beginning of the interview, you could hear barking. That was my dog, Sunny. Dogs can smell 5,000 times better than us. If it was just 2 times, it would be a lot. 5,000. They smell, stuff 5 kilometers away and stuff like that. So we have very limited senses. And we think that we are the most intelligent, the most advanced, and the most beautiful in the universe. We are so wrong. There are many different life forms. And those who come to this planet, I can assure you, they are much more developed than us.
Thank you very much again for answering. Next question for you is interesting. There are some counter opinions, some opinions that what you say is not true, la la la. And if you can say some counter opinions of the majority community against your discoveries, what are there? Like, what they mostly say to you, and why they hesitate or doubt about your discoveries?
Now, at the very beginning of project 2005, 2006, 2007, before our first scientific conference, people were saying as argument, there are no pyramids. Semir Osmanagić is not an archaeologist. He doesn't know. They don't know what they are doing and stuff like that. Well, these are opinions. Opinions are irrelevant in the world of science. And then 2008 came. We had our first international scientific conference. 55 scientists, archaeologists, Egyptologists, geologists, biologists, engineers, physicists, medical doctors, geodesists, and so on. With the 55 scientific reports. And the president of the conference, the late Dr. Nabil Svelim, invited the biggest critics, the skeptics, professors of geology from University of Tuzla, from Bosnia. He invited Zahi Hawass from Egypt. He invited people from Germany, from Slovenia. Nobody came because they had no arguments, no scientific arguments. Only they had were their opinions. But you know how many times during our interview, but at least 3 times, I said, everything is measurable. For example, State Institute for Geodesy. 3 engineers came with the scientific instruments called Total Station. They got to the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. They connected to the satellite, and they measured the orientation of the northern side of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. The error from perfect north, 0 degrees, 0 minutes, 12 seconds. So The guy who asked this question, he said, oh, he doubted that what I'm talking is not true. Well, it's not about what I'm talking. It is about what has been measured. If he has friend geodesist, let him come to Bosnia and measure the orientation. So if he finds that it is not the same result, then we can make discussion. The second one, concrete on the Bosnian pyramid of the sun. Very important arguments, because it is artificially made material. We sent samples to 7 institutes for materials. Politecnico di Torino in Italy, Turin. Geopolymer Institute in France, Professor Davidovic. Even in Czech and Slovakia, in the Czech Institute for Geology at the Academy of Sciences, in Bosnian institutes, they all told us it was artificially made concrete with the artificial binder, with a better quality than our concrete today. So if these people want to discuss with me with the arguments, let them come, take samples, and they are free to do so, measure and say, this is natural. Or dating, very important. And this is what, is biggest problem for the elites, especially English elites, who are the hardest when it comes to this discovery. They are against us totally from the day one. They are saying it's impossible, it's a pseudo-archaeological project, pseudo-history, and so on. Well, we sent samples of organic material discovered below the concrete blocks, discovered in underground tunnels, to Germany, to Institute in Kiel, age 31,000 years, to Poland, to Gliwice, age 32,000 years. We sent to Oxford, UK, and when you send your samples, you need to, fill out the questionnaires. Who's sending? The Foundation Archaeological Park Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Where did we find it? On Bosnian pyramids. What is the importance? It's going to give us the age of the structure. So they already see who's sending and what is the importance. And this was the only institute who never responded. So we called them. Where are the results? Well, they said it was not organic material. And then we told them, wait a minute. We find those pieces of wood. We cut them in 3 samples. And we got the results from Germany and Poland. We did not tell them what results. And then they said, of course it was organic material. And then we called them again. They said, well, you know what? Our equipment is down, so it won't be ready soon. That's fine. We gave them 2 months. We called them again. Well, we told them, hey, listen. Germany and Poland gave us the dates about 30,000 years. So where is your date? They said, you know what? Our technician accidentally burned the piece of organic material, so we cannot perform the measurements. It tells me that Oxford is not about the science, it's about the politics. And after that, I never sent any samples to them, because who writes the history? Not little country like Czech or Bosnia, but elites, number one, British elites. Those who write the history, they control the present and the future. So our project is about changing the narrative. It's about changing the purpose of Egyptian pyramids also. Not tombs, not place for one dead body, which is ridiculous. Why would somebody spend 6 million tons of blocks at the Giza Plateau to build the resting place for one dead body? Why would somebody incorporate so much mathematical knowledge, elements of sacred geometry, astronomical knowledge in those Egyptian pyramids for one dead body? Of course not. The pyramids are built for the living communities. They are supposed to give us energy sources, but also knowledge about astronomy, about the universe, about the philosophy, about everything, and plus to protect our health, to give us good food, water, plants, and so on. It's so logical.
Thank you very much. Next question is written by Zuzana. Thank you very much, Zuzana. And translation for you is, how did you find out, Dr. Semir, that the pyramid in Bosnia is the oldest in the world. And who do you think built that?
In archaeology, there are at least 5 questions that we have to answer. The first one is what? What is this? Well, it's a pyramid complex in Bosnia. The second one is who? Very important. Well, right now we can only say most advanced civilization. In Egypt, we don't know who really built them. I mean, the bedtime stories, Egyptian pharaohs, princesses, generals, forget about it. Give me a proof. You enter the Egyptian pyramid, Great Pyramid, or second largest, or third largest, or Sneferu pyramids. No mummies. Mummies are in the Valley of Kings, in Abydos, in Dendera. No mummies. No organic material. No royal furniture. No tools. Not a single proof who built them. Not even hieroglyphic writings. In Bosnia, we can see that somebody was able to maneuver with millions of tons of materials. They are applying elements of sacred geometry like a golden section spiral, perfect equilateral triangle between 3 pyramids, sun, moon, dragon. And the age, we have done 28 radiocarbon dating and uranium-thorium analysis. And just now, 2 weeks ago, we had professors from University of Ankara, and they took samples, they're going to be doing luminescence analysis. So these are the most advanced analysis. This is called science, scientific methodology. Well, majority of the dates are taking us back to 30,000 years. So to answer the question, who? Well, really, who was here 30,000 years back? According to official science, nobody, just the primitive caveman. Well, I agree that majority of the world was a primitive caveman. However, today, what we have, if you go to Papua New Guinea or to Amazon and you find some of those tribes, they live in the Stone Age, right? And we go to New York or Prague or Sarajevo, we have mobile phones, we have TVs, we have video projectors, so we live so much more advanced. Is it possible that in distant past we did have civilizations who were coming either visiting us or building stuff on our planet? Easter Island, those huge heads and half of the bodies, not primitive cavemen, Egyptian pyramids, Teotihuacan, Tijuanaco in Bolivia, Chinese pyramids, and so on. Even Stonehenge, they're telling us 5,200 years old, built by primitive Neolithic man. Neolithic times is the stone tools. Who shaped those blocks? The biggest one is 75 tons. And they moved it for 320 kilometers. Eastern Lebanon, Baalbek. When I was there 15 years ago, the biggest block was 1,250 tons. In the meantime, German archaeologists have, dug 2 more blocks, 1,450, 1,650 tons. I mean, until 20 years ago, we did not have crane who could move 1,000 tons. Even today, we don't have them. We have capacity of 3,000 in China, but they are fixed. They cannot move 1.5 kilometers like they did in Baalbek. So there are more advanced civilizations in the past, and I know that very well. So who did it? Well, Tomáš, to be frankly, I don't know. But the proofs are over there. And if we are there to close our eyes, like mainstream scientists and historians and geologists, or common people, because that's how they taught them, that's how they program. If we do that, we will forever stay with the lack of knowledge. So, like I said, I've been researching pyramid megalithic sites for decades, and more I see, more I realize that I know almost nothing.
Thank you very much. What do you think, audience and people who are watching? Just write down your opinion. What do you think about who built the pyramids? And you can discuss it. You can talk with each other. Please do it kindly. The next question is really, really interesting. Semir, Dr. Semir, I'm very interested. What would you say on that? So the question sounds like do you think that their claim, what do you think about the claim that the Earth is flat and not round? What do you think about this? Because in America, they have a big issue now because, they try to say, hey, it's a globe, but some people, they say, no, it's not. And the interesting fact is that we have a lot of evidence from the past, like from medieval times, from all sailors, and we see old maps. And so we are confused, like, what is the truth? What do you think, like, as archaeologists?
This is a very intriguing question, Starting 7-8 years ago, when I first find out that there are people claiming that our planet is flat, that we have flat Earth versus spherical Earth, that was a big surprise. I mean, we haven't heard that for 400 or 500 years. And now all of a sudden you have people asking those questions. In the meantime, it has become the movement all around the planet. We can see the conferences, we can hear people on mostly YouTube channels giving us some very intriguing questions which are hard to answer, or coming with some evidences, especially with the pilots. And sure enough, when you are in the plane 11,000 meters above the sea level, you don't see that spherical Earth. You see the horizon, which is flat. Well, the same goes for the sea. If you're looking at the sea and then kilometers and kilometers away, you can see some objects during the clear days. When you look from Adriatic Sea, from the Croatian side, you can see Italian seaside, and you are not supposed to see that, because when you calculate the curvature, then really that land over there should be, dozens and dozens of meters below your eyesight. Well, when they ask me that question during my conferences, I usually answer, I don't think that the Earth is flat or spherical. It has the shape of the heart. On this planet, we should really have love as the binding element among everyone, including the scientists. And instead of disregarding questions, I think if we have a group of good physicists, good astronomers, good geodesists, who we can gather around some round table and who can receive dozens of questions from flat Earth theorists, then we would know exactly what's happening there. I know that one of the hypotheses of the flat earthers is that there is a dome above our planet, and there is no way that you can fly through that dome, and you cannot visit the moon, you cannot visit the planets. And, that also can be very easily answered, if you have independently verification. If people simply rent the rocket and try to go through it, or those space tourists, they can tell us if they really flew in the atmosphere. I know that the arguments for the flat earthers is that NASA is hiding information from us. Well, it was possible back in late 1950s, beginning of 1960s. But is it possible that during 1960s, both nations, Soviet Union and America, were hiding information from us? It is possible. But today, with more than 30 countries who have the satellites in space, is it possible that hundreds of thousands of people who got involved in those satellites, that nobody is talking publicly? Nobody is telling us, hey, look at this, photos. There is no space as we think. There is no moon or sun, because they are the same cosmical bodies, the same distance from our planet. There is a dome, and this is the proof. And people, not only from countries that cooperate like US or Canada or Germany or UK or France or Italy, those countries who have satellites. But you have countries like Iran. I mean, America cannot tell Iran, hey, don't talk about it. We have countries like South and North Korea. There are countries like Pakistan. They all have, Emirates, they all have their satellites in the atmosphere. Is it possible that all of them are hiding information from us? Hardly. But I think the best way would be to have a group of scientists who can answer those questions and group of flat earth theorists who will ask the questions. Open discussion, it can last for a few days, and then if there are answers to every question, then the spherical theory would prevail.
Thank you for your scientific approach to this. But what do you think, guys? I noticed that on YouTube there are a lot of materials and a lot of questions, so I'm interested. What do you think? And that's idea is very nice, Semir, to have this conference. So maybe it exists somewhere, so we don't know. So next question for you is, okay, we are going to have 2-3 questions more, okay, because of your time, Semir, just not to hang here like for 2 days. But next question is this I chose. Thank you, Alex, for asking this question. And it's about Atlantis. Do you think Atlantis existed? If yes, where? What do you think, Dr. Semir?
When I was younger, I did write a book about the Atlantis, and I tried to gather all arguments about the Atlantean existence. Now, first of all, let's see if the land was there. Now, when Plato said that it was behind the pillars of Hercules, pillar of Hercules were the Gibraltar Strait. Behind it, there was a big sea, the ocean, Atlantic Ocean. And sure enough, between Europe and America, until 55,000 years ago, there are 2 huge islands or 2 small continents, like Australia. 55,000 years ago, because both islands were of volcanic origin, the one which is located to the north went down below the sea level. Probably there was some catastrophe. And then 11,700 years back, another island, another small continents also went down, more than 3,500 meters below the sea level. So geologically speaking, I would say it is possible that we did have this land, this territory, where civilization could thrive. And then we can see some very detailed explanation, description about the land of Atlantis, about their capital city of Poseidonis, about different provinces, 10 provinces and 10 kings, about different people. To the north, they are white people. To the south, they are more like brownish, black people. And then some of them are more in administration, some of them more in agriculture, some of them more in spiritual, philosophical, and some other stuff, some of them more in like military. So we have some very detailed explanation. Now, another proof for existence of this land, there is a sea animal called eels, that's like a snake, eel. And they originate in the Gulf of Mexico. And when they are to, bring some eggs, they go from the sea, the salt water, to the fresh river water. And it seems that they follow the Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream, it's about 800 kilometers wide, warm stream. At one point, when the land of Atlantis existed, the Gulf Stream would go to the first third of Atlantic Ocean and then coming back. And today that area is called Sargassus Sea. And it seems that those eels, they were going to the fresh rivers of Atlantis they would lay their legs, and then the males were waiting in the sea for the females, and together they were going back to the Gulf of Mexico. Now, when this land went down below the sea level, those eels were still following the Gulf Stream, which now went all the way to the Europe. Now those hot waters started melting the ice in Europe, in UK, in Northern Europe, and that was the end of the Ice Age. And some of the streams were going to Mediterranean Sea, and those eels now are going to the French rivers, to Portuguese rivers, to Spain rivers, and they are going to Mediterranean Sea, even to Adriatic Sea. And some of our rivers, Neretva, Krka, Cetina, and so on, they see those animals. And it doesn't make any sense to go from Gulf of Mexico, thousands and thousands of miles. But what those animals do, they follow their instinct, which was developed over millions of years, to follow the Gulf Stream, because they trust to the Gulf Stream. Because this land was disappearing, and they continued following the Gulf Stream. So this is very interesting, an argument, and I have it in my book. And there are many other arguments, but basically, do we see traces of the pyramids on the land of Atlantis? Do we see traces of the Poseidonis? Unfortunately, no. You show the picture of, the lost city on the bottom of the Atlantic floor. We don't see that. The best candidate would be Azores Islands, Azores. But unfortunately, even though we do have those islands, if there was a civilization thriving on the island, they would have something, some temples or some traces of walls or cities at the higher level of those mountains than islands today. We don't find them. So yeah, exactly. It's something like that, maybe a little bit to the northeast. So hard to say. I know when I go to Canary Islands are off the coast of the Morocco. Today they belong to the Spain. Tenerife is the one of them. There was a culture called Guanche. And on the two islands, Guanche, they built more than 100 pyramids. They had stone cities, they had stone temples, they had stone streets, they had irrigation channels. When the Spaniards came at the end of the 15th and beginning of 16th century, they found civilization in those stone cities. But the poor Guanches, they did not have army, no military. Why? Because they are living in the Atlantic Ocean, no enemies, for hundreds of years, for thousands of years. And of course, conquistadors came, they killed them in a very short period of time, they did genocide, and now they claim there are no pyramids on the islands, and the pyramids are there. And they are saying Guanches were primitive. Spaniards were very primitive and cruel. So this is, let's say, one possible proof that descendants of Atlanteans lived there until the 15th century. The others, hard to say. I would say the places like Stonehenge, they were not built more than 12,000 years ago, because then southern England was, ice-covered country. No soil, just ice everywhere. Ice was reaching 2,000 meters. France and Switzerland and Czech Republic and Poland and Scandinavia, 2,000 meters of ice. Only when the Gulf Stream melted the ice, then we had free land to build stuff. So Stonehenge does not belong to Atlanteans. And there is one more interesting thing. There is a town in Mexico, it's called Tula. Tula, according to mainstream scientists, was built by Toltecs. Wrong. They are saying from the 9th to 12th century. Wrong. There are pyramids there? Yes, right. 3 pyramids were reconstructed? Yes, they are there. On one of them, there are 8 stone columns. And from the past, we know that they named them Atlanteans. And they are saying for their civilization that they came from the east, from the Red Land. And guess what? To the east from Mexico is the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And the Red Land is volcanic soil, and that's exactly what the Atlantis had, volcanic so on. Is that the story that the knowledge has been brought? There you go. Those 8 stone columns, they call them Atlanteans. So is it possibility that this knowledge came through the oral tradition, that they came from the East 12,000 years ago? It's very possible. And then in the Mayan world, probably you have heard about the crystal skulls. The Mayans did have, until the 10th century, when they disappeared, those who came later, some primitive tribes from northern Mexico, and who claim that they are descendants of Mayans, and they are not, they did discover some of those crystal skulls. And there is a claim that those skulls are more than 12,000 years ago, built by unknown technology, and some of them originated in the Central Atlantic or from the Atlantis. It is possible. So we can see some of the traces somewhere, but majority we cannot. So if you ask me if the Atlantis existed, I would say yes, where it had to be middle of the Atlantic Ocean, probably not of that such a big size like it's claimed, but I think that yes, the history of humanity is not evolution like they teach us. The history of humanity is cycle after cycle after cycle, and we simply live in the last cycle of humanity, which started with the end of the last ice age, and in the last 100,000 years, we had at least 5 of those cycluses. And that's the difference between me and the whole cultural establishment saying 12,000 or 20,000 years back, we are primitive cavemen. Wrong, wrong, wrong.
Thank you very much. And the last question for you, Semir. I'm going to ask you the last question because, you know, a lot more, there are more questions, guys. I'm very sorry that I will not ask all of them. So I chose the most interesting and the most which got a lot of votes from you. So, but this question is very nice. Okay. So Semir, for you, okay, it's about the ancestors, about the old civilizations. And the question is, what did our ancestors want to leave us? What did they want to warn us about?
What I can see is that the ancient civilizations left traces of ancient technology. Pyramid sites, megalithic sites are technology. They're all about the energy. They're all about very specific frequencies. They're all about vibrations. And guess what? The most brilliant mind of our civilization, Nikola Tesla, 125 years ago said, if you want to find out the secrets of the universe, you need to view them through the energy, frequency, and vibrations. Our project in Bosnia is not about the archaeology. Archaeologists cannot help us much. In the beginning, yes, but the time is behind us. Our project is about the energy. It's about the true history of civilizations. It's about how to harness the energy. It's about how to raise our vibrations. It's about our mission in lives. It's about the true purpose in our life. You know, when I hear people who try to take me back to 2006, are the pyramids in Bosnia real or not? Is it hoax or not? Do they exist or not? Are there any proofs? It's just a waste of energy for me. So I don't, you know, leave too much energy to those questions. I answer them, but we move on. So those pyramids have been there for 30,000 years, and others for tens of thousands of years. They're gonna be here in central Bosnia thousands of years after we are long gone. So why don't we use our short life span, try to learn and apply that knowledge in our civilizations, in our society? And that's exactly what we do here in Visoko. People come, they realize this is not Egypt. You go to Egypt, they tell you, okay, ride the camel, take a photo in the front of the pyramid. Now you saw Egyptian pyramids. In our case, it's different. They go to the tunnels. They see prehistorical construction. they realize, hey, the history is not what they teach us. They feel the energy. They feel the, good healing aspects of this energy. They go, they meditate, they start developing the spiritual aspect of their lives. So our project is about something else. Plus, our tickets are so low. I mean, you go to Postojna cave in Slovenia, 28 euros. In our case, 10 euros. You go second time, 2.5 euros. 2.5 euros. We can't do much. But people come, they stay for a week, they help us. People come, they volunteer with us, they dig with us. So, we have good intentions. People recognize that. So once they see that, they want to be part of it. So I would say the first thing is, so we can learn so much from the past to have a better future. The second part of the question, were they there to warn us? Of course, when you see the Mayan pyramids, they always talk about the cycluses. The Mayans were telling, hey, there were 4 worlds before us. We live in the 5th. It means the 6th will come and the 7th will come. And those who come after 99% of us are gone. And we will be gone. Either ecological catastrophe or nuclear warfare or chemical, biological, whatever. Those who remain and those who got out from their caves, like we did 12,000 years ago, they will think that they are the first one and the most intelligent and the most beautiful. And they will be wrong like we are wrong today.
So thank you very much, Semir. It was a great honor for us to ask you these questions, Dr. Semir Osmanagic. Thank you very much again. I know that you're being busy these days, and I thank all of you who are watching right now. Thank you for sharing, for writing comments, for subscribing, and I put link below. So if you want to go to Bosnia to see pyramids by yourselves, just do that. There is an opportunity. People write me sometimes, like time to time, like it was so amazing. Thank you very much, Tomáš, for this interview, because it was a great experience, and we opened our hearts and we just think, we ask questions, and it's so amazing. It's like adventure. So I don't get money from that, guys, okay? I just do that because I like discoveries and I like traveling the world. Now I'm in Sri Lanka. I was in Thailand, in Cambodia, in Nepal. It's so amazing and it's not so far. So, okay, it's up to you. Semir, once more again, thank you very much. Have a nice time. If you are open to that, after some months we can continue. We can just develop some more topics, because there is a huge variety of things we can talk about, but the time is like this. So thank you very much. And guys, I'm very enthusiastic about your ideas, about that you write to me about who you want to hear. Thank you very much. This is happening because of you. So, oh my God, I'm so happy for that. And Semir, is there anything you would like to add? You would like to send to the people? You would like to, share at the end of this interview?
Yes, Tomáš, I thank you for the interview. You've done a great job. You're an open-minded person. I like to see that. As far as the people who come and visit us, I want to tell them that we are open every day of the year. This is not a government-funded project. We don't receive a penny from the government. But what we do here, we live actually from the archaeological tourism, so we can fund our archaeological research. We have the most beautiful park, which is the cultural and sport and spiritual oasis in the Southern Europe. People love to feel that energy. 365 days a year we open. They can come anytime. Summertime, it's good. You see people from all over the world. Wintertime, it's also good with less people. The healing aspects is more dominant. And when they come to our place, they can see different energy. It's not the energy of the cities, the concrete buildings and bad electromagnetism, where people are nervous and anxious. It's it's a place of people with the smiles on their faces. They love to come here. They love to feel the freedom again.
Thank you very much. So let me know, people, if you visit, just write me your experience. How did you feel? And you know, Semir, at the end, when I watch us, I have a feeling like you are Indiana Jones and I'm your student. Like sometimes, you know, with this cap in my head and you with your, you know, I have a feeling like we are in some big movie. Like, you know, hey, Dr. Semir, tell me what's wrong with the world, you know? Okay, so see you next time. Enjoy. And guys, thank you very much for sharing.
All right, thank you.